So you'll get a notice about that to accept. And greetings, I'm Jane Jewett. I'm the past president and know a bunch of things about the market, where all the bodies are buried and things like that. So I'm gonna help with this orientation training. And then if the other key people want to quick introduce themselves, we've got Sally.
I'm Sally. I'm the market manager.
Early. I imagine we can get in about 8 or so.
Well, there's a lot of us that have to drive almost an hour.
I'm gonna mute some people who just joined. Yeah, if you can please be muted if you're not speaking, that'd be great. Thanks. Kent, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah,
Kent, we're not hearing you. Sorry, your audio is giving trouble again. We'll go ahead with Willalyn and come back to you. Willalyn?
Willalyn Dowell, the aggregation manager, and I've met, I think, most of you already.
Hannah?
Sorry, I joined in a little late. What are we doing?
Just introduce yourself.
Oh, okay. I'm Hannah Harling. I'm the president of the farmers market, and I have I set up on farmers market days and sell soaps and baked goods and whatnot.
Okay, Kent, back to you.
okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Good. I'm the treasurer of the market, and I will also be available for support for Open Food Network on the aggregation part.
Great. All right, so the 5 of us are the team that's kind of on board to run through this tonight. And I'm not going to have everybody else introduce yourselves because that'll just take up more time, and we'll see you at the market coming up here real soon. So I am going to go ahead and make my screen show the slide view here, which will a little bit limit what I can do with buttons and things, but here we go. New member orientation.
Okay, we're ready to go?
Yep.
Okay, well, welcome to the 2022 Grand Rapids Farmers Market Orientation and Training for New Vendors. I'm Sally, like I mentioned, and I am the Grand Rapids Farmers Market Manager. There are 13 new members that were voted in this year, and I look forward to meeting all of you. These are the topics we are going to cover tonight. The SNAP EBT, market bucks, mighty matching dollars, POP, gift certificates, and produce matching bucks. Then we're going to move on to online sales or aggregation. We'll talk about manager's authority and required paperwork. And we'll have a discussion on entering and exiting the market space on market days. Then we'll move on to Canopy Setup and Waiting, booth setup, Handwashing Station setup, and food sampling. So Kent, as he introduced himself, is a farmers market treasurer, and he will start us out on the topic of the SNAP, EBT, mighty matching dollars, market bucks, produce market bucks, and POP. Okay, Kent, you're on.
Okay. I don't know how many of you are familiar with what SNAP is, but it's Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, and formerly was known as food stamps. And the way people who are on the program get their money, they get it on a card that's like a credit card, which they can swipe at the market booth because the market has a card reader. And there are a couple programs, several programs that go along with it. The first $10 that they take off of their card will be matched by the Market Bucks program for another $10. And this year is a new program. It's also going to be matching another $10 in produce market bucks. And Grand Rapids years ago set up their own private matching program with the Grand Rapids Area Community Foundation, which will match another $10. So for $10 off their card, this year they would have 10 plus 3 $10 matches would be $40 to spend at the market. Now, the Mighty Matching Dollars and the Market Bucks are for the same food items that the SNAP program allows. And that's basically fresh produce, vegetables, fruits. It can be other foods like baked goods, herbs, and plants that produce food, like tomato plants or pepper plants. The produce market bucks are only good for produce, which is fruits and vegetables. They aren't good for the other items. And the Power of Produce program, that is, we'll refer to it as POP, which is a program for kids. And when kids sign up for it, they can come to the market each market day, go to the market booth, and get a $2 coupon that they can spend on any fresh produce, vegetables, or fruits. And the kids really love it, being able to go and buy their own stuff. And it's encouraged for vendors to do some $2 packages of stuff if you have produce of any kind. And that makes it great for the kids. Kids don't have to spend them all at once. Same with the other matching dollars and SNAP EBT. They can save them up if they don't want to spend them all on the same day. The SNAP EBT are good forever. The other programs, they do expire at the end of the year. Okay, next slide, please. And hopefully you've all had a chance to watch this SNAP training video. And I know it's geared for cashiers in the stores, but it still covers the basic rules. And as part of the program, we are required to have everybody trained in and review the program every year, just as a reminder. Okay, next slide. Okay, now as far as part of the cottage food program, if you're familiar with Cottage Foods, which are your home baked goods or your dog treats, jams, jellies, you must display a sign that says these products are homemade and not subject to state inspection. And just be aware, it doesn't have to look exactly like this, but you have to have a sign there. A lot of people have one that's laminated, so it's good for all weather. And it can be 6x8 or 8x8 or 8.5 by 11 or whatever size you want. And next one will show you what the different tokens and market bucks look like. The red $1 tokens on the left there are the SNAP EBT. And on those, you cannot give any change. That's just part of the rules. And it's the same with the market bucks, produce market bucks, and mighty matching dollars and pop. You can't give change. People can use more than one at a time, of course. Now the green tokens are credit card tokens. So if you're a vendor who doesn't have a credit card reader, which a number of vendors don't, they can go to the market booth, the customer can go to the market booth and run their card at the market booth. And we hand them $5 tokens. And those tokens you treat just exactly like a $5 bill. They, if they buy a $4 item, you give them $1 change. If they buy a $3 item, give them $2 change. Okay, and then what happens after you get the tokens and cards is the next slide. That we have a slip that you'll fill out. And this basically you put down how many tokens, the dollar value that you received, and you bring that to the market booth and you turn it in. You don't have to turn it in the same day. In fact, it's better a lot of times if you wait till another market and turn it in the morning earlier, because the market staff gets very busy late in the day and they just don't have time to do them all at the end of the day. So part of our agreement is that we would like all of them to be turned in by 11 o'clock. And hopefully that's fairly self-explanatory. The next one is the receipt that the market will issue you. And we will issue you a receipt that you've turned in the tokens and for the dollar amount. It will be recorded on a sheet for each of you, which I believe is the next slide. We have an example sheet. And this is one from last year, I believe. And this was a vendor who participated in all the different kinds of programs. So they had the credit card tokens in the EBT tokens, the mighty matching dollars, market bucks, power of produce. They also sold through the aggregation program or the online sales. And then there's the next column, which is a hub fee. And that's going to require a little explanation in that as cottage food cannot be sold by the market online. That's part of the state rules. But you can advertise your cottage food on the market's online store. And when you do that, you have to set the price at $0, but you put in the description, say like a dozen cookies for $7. And then you put the price that it would be listed at online as $0. So the order will still go through the market. You'll get notification that you have the order, but the market won't handle the transaction at all. The customer will actually have to go to you, or you will have to bring the product to the customer and collect the payment from them. The market cannot handle any of that. The hub fee is one, the market to help pay for the online platform, the market does charge you 15% of your selling price for doing so. So this vendor had all these different sales. The yellow line here is when the checks are issued. The checks are issued twice a month, after the 15th and at the end of the month. And we would like you to let us know who you want the check made payable to at the top there. Because some people want it made, if they're a couple, one might be the husband, one might be the wife, another, it might be a LLC that they want the check made payable to the LLC. So we need to know that. So you let us know, especially the first time you come to market. Okay, we can go on next one on the gift certificates. The market does offer gift certificates that customers can buy from the market. And we will offer them in any $5 increment. And the way that they work is the customer is instructed to redeem them at the market booth. So if you see one, don't take it, just direct the customer to go to the market booth with it. The market booth will issue them $5 tokens for the dollar value, which they can spend at any of the vendors in the market. That's a great way for all of us vendors to share on gift certificates. Okay, we have any questions on that?
I might just clarify quickly that using the online platform is optional. You are not required to use it. It's another way to advertise and sell your products. And so if you're choosing to use it, there's that percentage applied to products the market can handle and a charge on advertising the cottage food products that the market can't handle. But, you know, it's fully optional to use the platform.
Okay, I believe Willalyn would be next up on the aggregation.
Next slide. Okay. The Open Food Network software platform, as you already know, for those of you that have registered online, the platform allows vendors such as yourself to sell produce, crafts, and such online at a price that works for you. Next slide. The Open Food Network brings together producers in our area, that would be Grand Rapids, to create a virtual farmers market and build a resilient local food economy. Next slide. How it works. The platform is built specifically for marketing your products online with pre-purchases by creating an online shopfront, which some of you have already done so. What are the benefits of registering on the Open Food Network platform? Vendors can work with the hub collectively to build a customer base. OFN can help us aggregate from multiple producers through one online shopfront. Vendors can customize their business information and add social media links, uploads photos on their enterprise, and upload their own products to their shop. OFN also allows the hub to open an order cycle per week with different delivery or pricing options, subscriptions, products, and more. OFN also allows customers to order products from different vendors with one invoice and use one payment method. And it's like a one-stop shop online sales platform. What does it cost? Well, note that we talked about the 18% markup. So when customers use OFN, there is an 18% markup when at the end of, they won't see this amount, but they will be paying that 18% markup. And the markup is to maintain weekly operations and to ensure the hub makes the profit to remain sustainable. OFN is a service to our customers. We are bringing local fresh food to them at the market. The hub aggregates from multiple producers through one online shopfront. The customers use one form of payment method and receive confirmation, invoice, and notification for pickup through email. Customers will pick up their order at the market on Saturdays from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. That's in May through October, and from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. that was May through September, and 9 a.m. to 11 in October. We also offer a delivery option for our customers that live within the surrounding area with a minimum order. And for our wholesale customers, there is no delivery fee with the minimum order. All right, how to get started. Next slide. Register your enterprise online at openfoodnetwork.net, and I will drop that in the chat. I sent everyone the link and a quick 2-minute video overview of what to expect when you register your enterprise on the Open Food Network. Next slide. You can click on register here on the website, sign up and create an account with your email address and password. Once you log in, click on Let's Get Started. You need to enter your enterprise name or name of your online store, your address and contact information, and choose the type of package option for your enterprise. So I know some of you were confused about this when we registered your enterprise. Under the Type tab, you will be asked if you are a producer. And what is a producer? You are a producer if you bake it, make it, grow it, raise it, brew it, mold it, whatever. That's what a producer is. And an enterprise is a business. It can be a farm, garden, crafts, or even a hub. If you are not a producer, you're probably someone who sells and distributes food. For example, Grand Rapids Farmers Market is considered a hub. There are 3 package options that you can choose from. And once you determine if you are a producer or not, you have to choose one of the 3. A producer profile is used to add products that hubs can sell for you. A producer shop is someone that wants to sell their own products and they can also supply the market. A hub sells producers' products and or their own products. Next slide. Oh, once you have an account, I'm sorry, go back to the other slide before that, slide 14. Once you have an account, when you want to get back in to edit your profile, to add products and add an order cycle, you can do that right on the main page. And to get to the dashboard after you are logged in, you do this by clicking on the little person icon on the top right corner and clicking on the administration. This is the dashboard you will see on your page after you set up a producer shop. The products tab is where you add and manage your products. The reports tab gives you reports options to generate reports. The order cycle allows you to add an order cycle and manage your orders. The enterprise tab is where you manage your enterprise. This is where you can change your enterprise name, your address, contact information, payment method, shipping method, add a registered user, etc. If you have everything set up right correctly in OFN, you will see a green check mark under status. So make sure your enterprise is visible to the public under the primary details. And I think that it's not on there. That's all right. Next slide. The permission tab on the enterprise tab is where you give permission for the hub to sell your products. The hub cannot sell your products until you give the hub permission to do so. To do this, you select your enterprise from the first drop down box, then type in Grand Rapids Farmers Market in the second drop down box. You can give the hub permission to add to the order cycle, to manage products, to edit profiles, and to add products to inventory. Note that if you don't check the box add to order cycle, the hub cannot sell your products. If you don't check the box to manage products, the hub cannot fix problems with your products. Open Food Network allows us to easily update your stock based on what you've produced. If you don't check the box, add products to inventory, the hub cannot offer your products to some shoppers. Next slide. You can find the Open Food Network sales platform and how-to videos on our website, and I will drop the link on the chat. Next slide. Here's a breakdown of a vendor who had all program sales and a $5,000 total sales in 2020. So the hub, as you know, accepts these forms of payments: cash, check, credit card, SNAP, EBT, MarketBox, and matching dollars, and Power Produce too. So the online aggregation sales through the Open Food Network are $385.38, which is 7.71% of the total sales in 2020. Credit card sales are $296.06, which is 5.92% of total sales. The credit card company charges the hub 2.75% of each credit card transaction in processing fees, and this is not passed on to the vendors. EBT sales are $271.38, which is 5.43% of total sales. MarketBox sales are $249.67, which is 4.99% of total sales. Matching dollars, $254.11, or 5.08% of total sales. And Pop Club sales are $117.44, which is 2.35% of total sales. So as you can see, the total program income, I am confused. Did I just confuse myself, Jane?
Maybe, Willowlyn. I mean, this is just an example of, of someone who might have sold $5,000 over the whole market season, and the $1,565 is the total from all these programs. And so that means this person sold like 3,400 or something through their market booth, and then they got the rest of it through these programs.
I gotcha.
Yeah, so it's just an example of how much, it's just to show that these programs do bring in a pretty significant amount of money to vendors.
Right. And as you can see, the online sales program aggregation brings in a lot of income. And I know last year I did, just by using online sales platform without being at the market.
Yeah.
And it's open, it's
Later.
open during the winter months too, right?
Yes. It is open in, November, December, January, February, March, April, once a month at a designated place of pickup. And this year we did it at the Grand Rapids, Grand Itasca Clinic and Hospital outside of the infusion center. And that was once a month on a Saturday from 1 to 2. Next slide, please.
1 second. I'm wondering if Kent could explain the credit card fees part of this.
Yes, there is a charge for running credit cards through the market. And the bank and the credit card company charge the market those fees. And the market passes those fees along to the producers or vendors that turn in the credit card tokens to cover the costs. And that 2.75% pretty closely balances what the market is charged for doing that. If you use a Square reader yourself or PayPal or one of the others, they are in that neighborhood of percentage wise what they'll charge you for accepting credit cards. So it's just kind of a way to balance it out. And honestly, the credit card fees that are charged to the market vary a huge amount depending on what the card is. Because some cards that offer huge cashback deals or lots of miles or something will charge maybe 5%. And then there might be other cards that charge a lot less. So hopefully you can understand that.
That was my mistake. I didn't understand that part. Sorry.
And the next slide here, I guess I can cover this as long as we're on it, is what it costs you to join the market. $100 to join, $10 a space per day, and then $2 for electricity if you use it. So if you have one space and attended 40 markets, cost you $400 for the season. And just looking at 40 markets and you sold $100 worth a day, you'd be taking in $4,000 for the season. And that would be 10% would be what the cost for the space is at $10 for one space. So this is just a chart
Brandon taking
made up to give you an idea of what the cost would be to attend market. And that kind of balances what the benefits are for the different programs supply.
Okay. Sally's up now.
Okay, manager authority. The market manager is the ultimate on-site authority. So as a market manager, I am on site each market day. One aspect of my duties is to keep the whole market in compliance with state regulations and market rules. The required paperwork is the ST19 form, and that is a state managed sales tax form, and it needs to be filled out whether you are required to collect tax or not. There's a code of conduct, which is your agreement to behave, and it needs to be read and signed. There's the membership form, and your information must be up to date. And you probably already filled out this form when you applied to market membership. Then you need copies of your license. If you're a cottage food registration or any other license that might apply to you. And then there's the EBT SNAP tokens agreement. And there isn't the initial training online, like we mentioned, and the paper form must be read, understood, and signed. All these forms can be found at the Grand Rapids farmersmarket.org. These forms must be signed and received by me or Kent or whoever you might have given them to by the first day of market. I keep a copy of these forms on file. And if you already have turned them in, I will get them. Otherwise, I need them the first day of market. These papers have to be filled out every year, even if your information stays the same. There's also bylaws posted on the website for you to read and understand. Okay, next slide. Entering and exiting the market space on market days. Okay, next slide. This is an aerial view of the market space between the bank and the boat store. As the manager, planning starts the day before market. On Tuesdays and Friday mornings, I will send out an email with a list of vendors who are attending the next day. This vendor list is generated from talking to you at previous market days. Some vendors will tell me that they're coming every market. Some vendors will say only Saturdays or only Wednesdays. If your name is on the email list and you are coming, do nothing. I'll see you there. If your name is on the list and you decide not to come, you must cancel by emailing, texting, or calling me the day before market. Always remember to contact me if you are canceling. If you are attending the market the next day and your name is not on the list, you need to notify me and inform me that you are coming. You can text me, email me, or phone me the day before. You do not show up at market without reserving a stall. Next slide. Okay, this is the vendor area and the layout of the market. After I know the number of vendors attending for the day, I prepare a map and assign vendors to a specific stall. Some vendors have the same stall every time. These vendors have probably belonged to market for a very long time, or they are regulars and they come every market. Some vendors and newer vendors need to be flexible and change locations. On the map, you can see the areas for the vendors. The east side is by the bank and the west side is next to the boat store. The booth in the back is for the customer financial transactions, and the arrows around the entire area show where customers drive for aggregation. On the morning of market, you enter the market on the west entrance closest to the boat store. This is a one-way entrance only. You drive into the customer parking lot and stop, and you wait there for me to direct you to your assigned stall. Stalls are marked with cones and each stall is 10 feet wide. Everybody arrives at a different time, depending how long it takes to set up. A guideline for arrival time is be ready to sell at 8 o'clock. No late arrivals are allowed. And as we mentioned, electricity is available on the east side of the market for $2 a day. You supply your own electrical cord. Your vehicle is parked at your stall on the east or west sides, unless you are in the middle stall. The middle stalls are used during busy days and some vendors request them. Middle stalls require you to unload your display and then move your car. And in that situation, you park your car along the back lot behind the aggregation area. If you have a booth helper, they can park there too. The front parking lot is for customers only, and the exit is a one-way exit by the bank. So if you encounter any problems during the market, call me over. Check in with me if you forget something and we can solve the problem. Market days are long, and if you need to use the bathroom, I can cover your booth. There's a porta potty on the premises. A hand washing station is available. I can cover for you if you want to order a taco. Bring plenty of change. In an emergency, I can get change for you from the bank, but plan ahead and make sure you care for yourself. Layer clothes in cool temperatures in the morning, and you might want to bring a chair for slow times. Mid-morning, I will stop at each stall and collect stall fees. I carry a little pink binder for that task. The fee for one stall is $10, and if you want 2 stalls, it's $20. You can pay in cash. And I never want to interrupt you when you're having a sale, so I will wait until you're finished with your customer and for the sale to be completed, or I can move on to another vendor and collect their fees and come back at another time. Food safety rules must be followed. For example, produce in regular cardboard boxes cannot be placed directly on the ground when you're unloading your vehicle. Boxes need to be 6 inches off the ground, or another box can be put underneath, or a pallet can be used that we have stored behind the booth. This does not apply to waterproof containers. Another example Kent mentioned is a sticker that must be on all cottage foods. These products are homemade and not subject to state inspection. Like he said, a sign must be posted. There are food sampling guidelines. These are just some of the examples of protocols that I, as a manager, pay attention to and I correct as needed. Vendors are asked to pack their own garbage and take it back home. All your items like wrappers, plastic bottles, food waste, or your waste from stall needs to go home with you. Commercial garbage contracts are cost prohibitive, and we rely on one person to haul our garbage. The garbage containers on site are for customers only. Children are welcome to accompany you with the understanding they are managed, and dogs and all animals are not allowed except for service dogs. Identifying your business on your stall is a good marketing strategy. Repeat customers can find you easily again if there's a name to your face. And Minnesota Grown has options for members. The market closes at 1 o'clock, and vendors are expected to stay until the end. If unusual circumstances arise, like a funeral, and you need to leave early, you have to let me know the day before, and I will assign you a spot where you can leave without disrupting the market. There are certain spots in the market where it's not hazardous or unsafe for someone to leave early. Sometimes vendors who sell apples or kombucha, for example, will sell out, and in those cases, they may leave. One reason market may close early is weather. If severe weather approaches and safety is a concern, the market may close, and I, as a market manager, will make that call. Our farmers market is a small community respectfully working together. And it's a team effort to have this high quality farmers market. And I, as a market manager, will make the final decisions as situations call for it. And now Jane is going to talk the next segment about state licensing and food safety and canopy setup. And there you go, Jane.
Thanks, Sally. Andrea put in the chat that the link to spring 2021 information for vendors is broken. Yes. Willowlyn, would you mind putting the correct link in the chat? I took that one down and replaced it with Open Food Network because the spring 2021 page had a lot of COVID information on it that we don't need anymore. So now it's just Open Food Network. Okay, canopy setup and waiting. So canopies they're the thing that people notice when they're driving by, and a lot of people stop at the market because they see the canopies, and those pop-up canopies say farmers market to people. So canopies are really important. They're also a good way to protect your products from rain or snow occasionally at market, and give you some shade, which helps the day not seem quite so hot, especially in the middle of August. If you're out there for 6 hours, it's really nice to have that shade. But weighting the canopies down is really important because our market space is like a wind tunnel with wind blowing from the south, and it just whistles through there. And so everything needs to be weighted down. If you have papers on your table like I do, you need to weight them down. And I use rocks, and people come by and say, "Are you selling rocks?" But you know, if you don't want to use rocks, use something else. You need something to hold your stuff down. So here's an example of a couple different kinds of canopy weights. The one on the left is it's just a PVC pipe with the ends capped, and it's filled with cement. And then it's hung by a hook from a bungee cord on your canopy. So that's a good kind of weight. The ones on the right with the slot that goes around your canopy leg, those are sort of okay, but if you use them, you have to really pay attention, because when the wind is rocking your canopy back and forth, it can rock your canopy legs right out of those slots, and then your canopy isn't weighted anymore. And we've seen that happen at market to ill effect. So the kind of weights you should use should be smooth, because we have a lot of children running around and they don't pay attention to where they're going. And also adults don't always pay attention to where they're going. So you need to have canopy weights that aren't going to hurt somebody if they bump into one. So here's an example of some smooth jugs. I think they're just filled with water to make them heavy. Those are fine. Those are smooth. And here's another example of a good kind of weights. These are cloth bags filled with heavy stuff, and they tie around the legs of the canopy. And those are fine. They're soft. Even if someone, you know, kicks one, they're not going to hurt themselves. You might notice on this one that the weights are only on the side away from the vehicle. And often if your vehicle is parked right next to your canopy, you can tie your canopy right to your vehicle with bungee cords or straps, and that works too. Your vehicle's heavy enough to hold it down. No weights is bad. Please don't put up a canopy and not weight it. You will regret it. Your canopy will fly away in the wind. And like one of our former market managers said, if there's a Lexus in the parking lot, your flying canopy will hit it. Cinder block weights, bad. We do not allow those at the market. Don't use them, don't bring them. Those are trip and fall hazards for anybody walking by. If a little kid kicks them, they're gonna break their toe or scrape their knee. Your weights must be smooth. I would say that, 45 or 50 pounds of weight per leg of your canopy is a good amount. You could go heavier than that. You probably shouldn't go lighter than that. Like I said, it's a wind tunnel there. And even with a 50-pound weight on each canopy leg, you would be amazed how much they rock and kind of move around a little bit as the wind is blowing. Booth setup. So pile it high and deep. And here's an example. This is Laura Frericks. She's a very well-known organic farmer in Minnesota from the Hutchinson-Litchfield area. And this is her display at I believe it's the Mill City Farmers Market in Minneapolis, but she really gets this. Shoppers shop between their waist and their shoulder. So you want to make that display really eye-catching at kind of where people's arms are reaching out to grab things. Some other things to take care of, and some of this repeats what Sally said, but there's a lot to take in, and so we agreed I would repeat some of it. Cash for making change for customers. People show up with $20 bills a lot. People sometimes show up with $100 bills. So make sure you have lots and lots and lots of $1 and $5 bills, and maybe a few 10s and 20s, and lots of quarters. If you have many $1 and $5 bills and a bunch of quarters, you should be okay. Signage. Check out Minnesota Grown. It's a $20 fee per year to register to use the Minnesota Grown logo. And then if you pay that, you have access to cost sharing up to $250 per year for things like signs and banners. And you can also get free like rubber bands for bundling kale or something like that are printed with Minnesota Grown and price cards. It's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, just like the labels for your plants, if you did like any kind of plant sales, just that alone pays for the membership, just so you know. It was a good deal. 25
Yeah,
bucks. Good deal.
great. Yep, the little labels are like little cards that you can write on with a Sharpie, and it's got a space where you can put the plant name and the price. And I use the bigger, they're like 6 by 8 inch or so cards that you can write on with dry erase markers and write product names and prices on. So you can get a lot of free point of sale materials from Minnesota Grown. Other things to take care of, it's a long day. You get there at 7 in the morning, you set up, you're busy setting up, and then you're in your booth from 8 till 1, that's 5 hours. And then you have packing up and getting out of there, probably another at least half an hour to an hour. It's a long day. So make sure that you bring things to eat and drink so that you are physically okay. It's really windy there. If the weather is at all cool, if it feels okay at your house, it's going to feel 10 degrees colder at the market. So bring those warm clothes, bring layers, chairs, and comfortable footwear, because you're going to be on your feet a long time. And if you want to take a load off your feet and sit down, you're going to need a chair.
Kimberly has her hand up. You have a question, Kimberly?
I think that was from before, but Kimberly, did you have another question? Hand washing stations. If you're going to be offering food samples, you need to have hand washing. And so there are some hand washing stations at the market. There's one by the porta potty. There are a couple by the entrance, but if you're a long way from the entrance to the porta potty, then you may need your own. And they're pretty cheap to set up. This is an example. This cost about $50 total, including the blue water jug and a couple of buckets and the folding table and the paper towels and the soap. So that's all you need. Gravity fed hand washing is fine. If it's the cool part of the year, you might want an insulated igloo type jug to keep your water warm. It's a lot more comfortable to wash your hands in warm water. And you can't see it quite well on this picture, but that's a flip type spout that you can flip up. You don't want a push button spout that you have to hold in with one hand, because you can't wash your hands properly if you're not rubbing them together. Rubbing them together is how you loosen up soil and wash your hands. So that's an example of a real easy, cheap hand washing station. And if you want to do food sampling, which is a good way to introduce people to your products and persuade them to buy what you're selling, then you can do it. You don't need a license to do it. There's an exemption in Minnesota state law that allows you to do it. You must have a hand washing station. If you're not close to one of those market supplied ones, you're going to need your own. And your sample sizes have to remain less than 3 ounces, and you must use single-use disposable serving containers or items. I mean, it could be like a toothpick stuck into a piece of vegetable or something, but it has to be single use. And in that case, you need to supply a trash receptacle for your customers to put their trash in, and then you take that with you. So other licenses, registrations, or trainings that you might need. If you're a small flock egg producer, there is a registration with the Department of Agriculture that is voluntary, not mandatory. But that can, if you want to sell eggs through the farmers market hub, for instance, we would require you to have that registration for our traceability purposes. If you're growing biennials or perennials, I know that there are several folks who are talking about plants or cut flowers, or especially plant sales. You don't need a nursery license if what you're selling is cut flowers, but if you're selling plants and they're not annual plants, then there's a state nursery license that you're required to have. And then GAPS training is good agricultural practices training, and we highly recommend that for anybody selling fruit or vegetables or herbs. It's on-farm food safety practices for produce. And then there's a little one-page summary sheet we have available for an on-farm food safety plan, which if you take the GAPS training from University of Minnesota Extension, you'll learn what you need to have on that on-farm food safety plan. So talk to Willowlyn or I if you think you need that GAPS training or if you want it, and we can make sure that you know when the next ones are coming up. And that's it. Other questions?
Hi, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I guess I was thinking about selling my chicken eggs at market, and I was under the impression that I needed to register with the MDA. But if I don't sell them under the hub, then I don't have to register with the state just to sell them at market.
Yeah, that's right. It's a voluntary registration.
Okay, I was a little bit concerned about that, just personal, not wanting to have to sign up anything unnecessarily with things that are going on today. So knowing that is kind of a relief. So good, thank you.
Yeah, you're not required to register, but you are still required to follow all the regulations on candling and grading and labeling your eggs.
Okay, okay, I can do that. So that sounds good, thank you.
Any other questions?
Pretty quiet crowd.
Everybody knows everything now. Okay, well, you know, there are things you're going to forget. There are mistakes you're going to make, and that's okay. We have a lot of vendors at the market who are really experienced and very ready to help out new folks. And so there will be plenty of help available anytime you have a question, or if you forget your jacket and you're freezing, somebody will have an extra and hand it to you. If you forget your tables, which I have done more than twice, we do have some extras in the trailer at the market. So if you need help, just ask. There's lots of help available.
I was curious about pricing. Is there like a pricing list? Like, do you try to standardize the pricing among vendors? Is it just, you know, capitalism at its finest? How does that work?
Yeah, I mean, you set your own prices, and generally the other vendors prefer it if you don't undercut them. So
Yeah,
that's
that's what I was
just
wondering.
kind of, yeah.
Like, how do you know
it's-
what it is on your first day of the market, right? So I was
Mhm.
just curious if there was any kind of standard price list, like, hey, we try to stay within this range. I don't know. I was just curious.
Don't be afraid to ask somebody what they're selling things for. And
Okay.
the way I look at it, if nobody complains about my price, it's too low.
Yeah, true. I just didn't want to like go, oh, look, I have it cheaper than someone else. And then they're like, hey, you're trying to, I've been here a long time. You don't want to insult anyone. So, so that's why I was just curious, because I've seen some markets where they say their price list, like, this is going to be the average price that we'd prefer you at least, you know, don't go lower than this. But if you don't have that, you don't have that at this market. Okay, no problem. Thank you.
And on pricing also, don't try and compete with the grocery stores because you're not selling the same products. If you are going to look at prices in the grocery store, look at their organic or their more specialized pricing rather than the lost leaders that they run, where they're going to sell, you know, a real cheap price on something for that week. There's no way you're going to compete with that. What you're competing with is service, building a rapport with the customers, fresh.
Make the pricing easy on yourself too, you know, make it either even dollar amount or quarter amounts, so you don't have to make complicated change.
Definitely. Less math.
Yeah.
Good call on that one.
And also
Yeah.
on products that you have to charge sales tax on, you can sell it as tax included, but you're supposed to say that on the sign. So
Oh,
if you
good
price
call.
something at $5, tax included, you'd be actually selling it for $4 and whatever it is.
Yeah, and for the Power of Produce program, it works real well if you put together $2 products and have like a area of your table that's for the POP program. If you're selling produce that's allowed for the children. So you'll see a lot of vendors with little $2 bunches of carrots or Dixie cups of blueberries that are specifically for those kids using their $2 pop cards.
Are you allowed to put like free stuff on the pop sale too for like little kids at all? Like, I know it's a vendor market, but are you allowed to give away anything to them as well as part of their, you get your $2, but I'm also giving you this free flower. Marigold or something, like when you go to the greenhouse, they give you a flower. So is that allowed?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to give your product away, we're not going to stop you.
Well, I was just thinking of the little kids, not adults. I was trying to come up with stuff for like they could eat. I've come up with some stuff. I do grow actual vegetables. I just was trying to think of something fun for them. Get their parents to my stand, you know.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and just one last note about sales tax. There are a lot of things that the new vendors will be selling this year that are taxable. So cut flowers are taxable. Candles and other decor and personal care products are taxable. And plants are taxable, even the veggie ones, except if someone is buying food plants with SNAP, with EBT. So if you're selling food plants and someone's buying them with those red tokens or market bucks or matching dollars, then you don't charge sales tax on food plants. It's very complicated. It's not a logical system. I'm sorry, it is what it is.
I have another question, and it's on the OFN. So if I was to sell produce or any of my products that wasn't under the cottage food licensing, the customer is charged an 18% markup, not me. So if I sold, say, $5, the customer is going to pay the $5, and in addition to that, the 18% markup. Yeah. Okay, I understand.
Yep.
Okay.
Kimberly Howard, hand up. You're muted. Sorry, Kimberly, we can't hear you. If you want to try typing your question in the chat, we can answer it. Okay, well, it's after 7, and if anyone has other questions, you know, you can reach out to any of us and we'll hand questions around till we find the right person to answer it. And we'll see you at the market. Starts May 11th, Wednesday.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.